Hello, everyone. I want to first thank the organizers of this wonderful workshop. What makes a good theory? I'm really excited about the different ideas that are going to come out of this workshop. My name is Coti Gonzalez, and I am a professor at Carnegie Mellon University. And before I attempt to answer some of the questions that are posed for this workshop, I would like to give you a background of where I come from, who I am, so that you understand my perspective, given that this is an interdisciplinary workshop. So I'm originally from Mexico, but I have lived more than half of my life now in the US. And in particular, I've been 22 years in Pittsburgh. This is a picture of the city. And it's a wonderful city to live in. This is a picture of Carnegie Mellon. And in Carnegie Mellon, I have a laboratory. And this is a picture of some members of my lab. It's called the Dynamic Decision-Making Laboratory. Now, in this laboratory, we study how humans make decisions in dynamic tasks, how we adapt and learn and improve our choices in these dynamic tasks. And through the years, we have developed a theory that we call instance-based learning theory. And this is a theory essentially that provides a process by which humans make decisions interactively with a dynamic environment. The idea is that a changing environment is moving independently from a human who is trying to make decisions in that environment. And the first step is to recognize a situation or an opportunity to make a choice. And this recognition happens through similarity, meaning by looking in our memories, what are the decisions that we have made in the past and how similar those decisions are to the current state of the environment. Based on that similarity, value of a particular choice in that situation is calculated. And the idea is that basically we determine what is the expected value of making a choice in that particular situation. And we do that by retrieving those instances or memories from the past. Now, this process is sequential, meaning that we evaluate options or alternatives one at a time. And we do this evaluation for all the potential alternatives available in the environment. A selection once there is, for example, a time constraint, or once we have to make a choice. And when we have to make a choice, we select the option that has the best expected utility. We execute that option, and that option changes the environment. At some point, then we receive results from the actions that we took in the environment, and such feedback is going to upgrade the memories that we have regarding those decisions. Those updated memories are then going to be used in the future to make future decisions. Now, this theory came through a process. And this is sort of a picture of the generic methods that we use in my lab. The process starts with a task, or we call it a micro world or decision-making game, in which humans make decisions and we run experiments and collect data. But we also create models that are based on instance-based learning, as well as other type of models. And those models are actionable models that can also make decisions in the same task. Now, what we usually do is, through the data collected from the models and the humans, we compare them. And this allows us to improve our theoretical understanding of this process, or come up with some ideas for new experiments to develop our model even further. Now, coming to cognitive science, I consider myself a cognitive scientist, even though my background is quite interdisciplinary. I am a computer scientist first, and then I went to the business school, and finally I sort of landed in what I think is a wonderful place to be, which is cognitive science. In cognitive science, we aim at developing theories of intelligent behavior or theories of cognitive processes of a particular type of behavior. In my case, is decision-making. These theories are descriptive, explanatory, and predictive, and it is important that, I think it is important that they are descriptive in the sense that they can provide systematic descriptions of phenomena and also generate novel predictions. Now, to me, it is very important that we make a difference between the theory and a model, and these two are not the same. The theory provides the general principles, those mechanisms that are generalizable, they are domain independent, and they provide accounts of phenomena or processes of interest, but they don't depend on a particular task. The models, in contrast, are particular instantiations of a theory that is in a particular task. They can be instantiated into computer simulation models, and these models are a vehicle for testing aspects of the theory, and they make a theory explicit. These computer models and simulations can be created to represent parts of those theories. They are based on mathematical formulations. They can also be based on statistical tools. But it is important that we understand cognitive models are not just a way to analyze data, and also they are not merely implementing a simulation model does not provide a theory. So coming to one of the questions for this workshop, what is a good theory? Well, I think in our case, at least in cognitive science, reproducing aspects of human performance does not necessarily make a model a theory. And I think we need to understand this from the start. Without the explanatory power, just reproducing some aspects of human behavior doesn't mean that we have a theory. So we should be able to provide concrete predictions of phenomena, be able to explain the phenomena, and be able to provide a process by which the phenomena emerges. So I think that's, to me, in my opinion, what provides a good theory. Also, a good theory must be applicable to many task environments. And I'm going to come back to this point later. McCloskey in 1991 actually defined these three sort of criteria for what a good theory is. The theory should recognize and make sense of the available observations concerning cognitive processes. The theory should identify the aspects of the theory that are important for generating successful and unsuccessful predictions. And a description of a theory should make it possible to find similarities and differences to alternative theories in the same domain. But how can we tell a good from a bad theory? So we need to be able to instantiate a theory into particular simulations. To me, that's a criterion for what is a good theory. So a theory is not simply a description of things. That is not the picture, is not a written up paragraph. A theory means that you can instantiate that theory in particularly in actionable computational models. It is possible to identify aspects of the theory that can generate predictions, so that also I think is a criterion. It is possible to verify whether the predictions are correct or incorrect. And when the predictions are incorrect, it should be possible to relate failure to specific assumptions of the theory. Thus, it should be possible to assess which are the theory relevant and the theory irrelevant features that are responsible for the success or the failure of the model. So how can we test theories? I think the quantitative nature of the theory is essential. And it is because this can make a theory precise and testable. And therefore, quantitative models are important. However, as we know from long time ago, quantitative models and close fit to data does not necessarily mean that we have a good theory. That is, good fits do not reveal flexibility of a theory. What sorts of test is that a model fits the data? Well, really nothing is said about competing theories if all we can do is fit data. So fitting data is really meaningless unless you have competing theories, unless you have specific hypotheses, unless you have generalizations. I think model comparisons and modeling competitions, which have been used, at least in my area of decision making for a long time, are important for comparing models based on fitting data, based on generalization, in particular the generalization criterion method. And therefore, to test a prediction of a theory, we need to make an observation that might yield results that would contradict the theory. I think the theories should be falsifiable. It is also important that we compare two competing theories, but also that we can make predictions a priori. That is, that we can collect data from our models prior to actually observing the data. Just to say a little bit more about modeling competitions, the modeling competitions are common now in many fields, and in particular, in decision science, there have been many modeling competitions that have been organized by EREF and others. However, most of these modeling competitions follow a single prediction criterion. So, for example, in EREF's competitions, they use mean square deviation from the data in a transfer data set to be able to evaluate the models. So we know that the results of competitions may be sensitive to the criterion that we use to evaluate the models. Therefore, we need to look for more than just one criterion. And recently we have published a friendly critique about model competitions. So I believe generalization is one of the most important criterion to test good theories, to test whether theories are good or not. But what constitutes a good model generalization? So here I'm gonna bring the idea of the pair of scissors, which we all know from Herb Simon defining that behavior may be regarded as a characteristic of a decision maker in a particular environment. And I think we have paid a lot of attention to creating unified theories of cognition, but not to creating unified theories of environment. And I think that if we bring in Allen Newell and Herb Simon together, they would argue that this is probably a good idea. And unified theories of environment can pay attention to different domains and to different tasks complexities, as we do in the case of dynamic decision making. We categorize tasks based on structural complexity and dynamic complexity. So what constitutes a good model generalization again? So I think two aspects. One is that models are able to accomplish the same task in different ways. That is, we can test theories in model competitions, for example, and we have done this quite a lot. But something that we haven't done or done much less is the second point. That is, models that are able to accomplish multiple tasks using the same theoretical mechanisms. I just invite everyone to think about this. Can your models accomplish multiple tasks using the same theoretical mechanisms? And I'm going to leave this as an open question for discussion in our workshop. Thank you very much.